Today we're going to look at how is the housing market going to do this year in 2023. Now, by doing that, we're actually going to look at some data. We're going to compare 2022 and 2021 to see, is housing actually going to drop? Is it going to crash? Is it going to go sideways? Is it going to go up? We're going to dive into some data to look at facts, not just throw around what we think or what someone else thinks. We're going to look at facts today. So buckle up. We're going to take a look, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's dive in. We're going to start right out by looking at the new listings, and we're going to use Redfin data because Redfin data is pretty damn solid. And you got to think, well, they're biased. Well, listen to me. When you look at this data, if Redfin is being biased towards them wanting to think the housing market is bullish, they're not doing a very good job of it. Let's dive in. Let's look at the very first thing. This is very important. You're going to want to watch this video to the end because we have to put all this together in order for it to make sense for you. So the first thing is new listings. So first of all, here's our color coordinating, right? 23, this is now. 22 is black, orange is 21, right? Here we are in the blue. This is this year 23. As you see right there, we are down 16.7% year over year in terms of new listings. So what that means is less new houses are coming on the market compared to this time last year in 2022 by the tune of 16.7%. Interesting. For a total of 59,188. What was it in 2022? Well, let's take a look. This same time, right here, there was 71,000. Interesting. So, all right, if new listings are lower, let's see what the total number of active listings is. And what are active listings? Active listings are new listings plus current listings. Okay, so all the listings on the entire market, all the houses for sale. Let's move over to that. Where are we? Active listings. So here's the blue. This is this year. This is last year. Okay. Here we are with active listings. 697,000. Sorry, I was in the wrong spot. It's 697,000. Now, year over year, that's up 23%. Because down here in the black, same time last year, what were we? 565,000 houses for sale at this time last year. Here we are. Well, let me make sure I'm in the right spot. Yeah, right here. 130 to 130, 565,000, 697,000. We're talking about 100,000 more homes, almost 25% more homes up for sale. That's interesting. And all that is one thing to look at, but the next thing we really got to look at is, well, are these homes selling? How long are they staying on the market? And what kinds of prices are they going for? So we're going to take a look at that next. And believe me, you don't want to miss it because as we add all this up, you're going to get a clear picture of what we can be looking forward to in 2023. We're going to talk about mortgage rates too, so stick around. So we've established so far, just to make sure we're on the same page, we have less new listings coming on the market, but we have more total listings on the market, both by significant amounts. So the next thing to look at is how quickly are homes selling or not selling? All right. So the first thing we're going to look at is off market in 2 weeks. What that means is that in 2 weeks, how many houses go off the market are sold in 2 weeks, at least go pending, meaning there's an offer, it's accepted, and they are in the process of closing. Let's go to that. Looks like year over year, we are down about we are down 7.9%. So that means almost 8% less homes are going pending or going off the market in that first 2 week period, which really shows you kind of the vigor, the anticipation of the market, the supply and demand ratio, because it shows both the price and the buyer's appetite for the current prices on the market, right? Very important to look at. Now, with that being said, when it says 7.9% less, that is kind of misleading because check this out. In 2021, at this same time, 45.3% of homes on the market went off the market within 2 weeks. This year, it's 37.4. So yes, from 45.3 to 37.4, that's a drop of 7.9% based on 100%. But when you look at what's 37.4 divided by 45.3, what's that percentage drop? That percentage drop, let's pull up the calculator. That percentage, Let's go back over here. 45.3 and 37.4. So that percentage, 45.3 and 37.4, let's get that calculator back up. 37, what was it again? 37.4 divided by 45.3 equals, well, deduct that from 100, that means we're actually down 18% in terms of homes that close in the first 2 weeks compared to last year. Now that alone doesn't give us a picture of, is this a worse market? Is it a bad market? Because you have to look at historical trends and things like that. But let's go forward. Off market in 2 weeks, okay, that is a metric to look at. But overall, let's see how long houses are staying on the market, period. To do that, we are going to go over to a different metric. Good old median days on market. Let's click it. So here we go. Here is 23, 21, 22. Interesting. So year over year, median days on the market is about 15.5 more. That means if you list your house today, it's going to take at least 15 and a half more days for it to sell than it did last year. Because here we were 33.2 days, 48.7. So that's an increase. That's an increase. Let's get that calculator back. What was it? Let's clear that out quick. Okay, it was 48.7. 48.7 divided by 33.2. 33.2 equals, holy moly, houses are staying on the market for about 47% longer. Interesting. So what have we gathered so far? There are less new listings coming on the market, yet there are almost 24% more houses actually on the market. Why? How's that possible? Because they're taking almost 50% longer to sell. What does that tell us? That tells us that the supply and demand dynamics have shifted, because we clearly see that there is more supply, hence more houses on the market, but the demand must be taking longer to buy it. So that means the demand has lowered, at least from 2022 and 2021. These are things that must be factored in. The next thing we're going to want to look at is days to close. This is literally from the day it gets listed to the day the house closes, right? Off the market is different than closes. Off the market is when there's an offer is accepted, and they're moving towards closing. Closing is when literally the house shifts hands and everything is done, and the buyer now owns the home. As of right now, we have 26.7 median days to close. What that means is from when the offer is accepted to when it closes. What's interesting about this is it hasn't changed a lot, right? 28.2 days to 26.7. So houses are actually closing faster. That's interesting. Once an offer is accepted, I need to make sure we're clear on that. We're going to look at two more things. One is going to be price drops. The other is median sales price. This is going to help us identify, are houses going for more than they were last year? Are they going for less? Are they going for the same? What is their trajectory? So we've gathered all this. We see that there's more supply. There seems to be less demand, right? Because there's more houses on the market, about 24% more houses listed for sale on the market, but yet houses are staying on the market almost 50% longer. That's interesting. Now we need to see, well, are the prices being adjusted, and if so, how much? So let's go to price drops. That means that if a house gets listed for $500,000 and they end up dropping the price in the listing before anyone makes an offer or anything like that, before an offer is accepted rather, usually there aren't any offers. That's why houses drop their price, or the offers that are there are so lowball. So if they drop the listing price from $500 to $475, that's a price drop. Let's see what percentage of homes have had price drops this year so far. Looks to me, this is interesting. So the percentage of active listings with price drops is 5.6%. Out of 100 listings, 5.6% of them, this is nationwide, will do a price drop. Now, year over year, it says that's a 3.4% increase. That is not a 3.4%. It is because last year, right? Last year, let me get to 20, let me get down here. Last year, 2.2%, so 2.2 out of 100 homes for sale did a price drop. This year, 5.6 homes out of 100 did a price drop. So that is actually an increase of about 150%. More homes are doing price drops this year compared to the last 2 years. You can see this is pretty regular right here. And you can see this big gap that happened here in 2021 and 2022. Why did this happen, this big gap? Why did price drops start picking up in 2022 from this point on? Because mortgage rates went up. Thank you, Federal Reserve. Thank you, inflation. Now, let's get to the meat and potatoes. Let's get to, dun dun dun, the median sales price. This will let us know if prices have been going down, which with all this evidence, it suspects that they have been. The question is how much, and will it continue, and will it even accelerate towards the downside? Let's look. Here's where it gets saucy. Watch this. This is why we looked at all this data for you to come to this point. And don't leave now. Hit that subscribe button if you're digging it so far. So far this year, the median sales price is $347,000, which is 1% higher than it was this time last year. What did we establish in that gap that we just looked at in the previous statistic? Why did this big gap between 21 and 22 happen? In terms of what was the piece of data? It was price drops. Remember this big gap right here? And you can see the median sales price went up a lot ever since this point right here, about mid-February. Let's go back to the other piece of data. Price drops started happening about here, about March, April 2022, and really seems to have hit their peak around October to November 2022. And as you can see from the median sales price data, it really builds and then now it's converged all the way back down in terms of sale price because those price drops got more heavy. And so the median sales price went down and it's been on a downward trajectory. And if you can kind of think of following this from here, right, this is the end of 22 to continuing here, this is going down. It's on par with what happens in 21 and 22, and it's still above 21, but here's where things might get interesting. Because the mortgage rates, it doesn't seem like the Federal Reserve is going to be lowering interest rates anytime soon. As a matter of fact, they claim that they will not lower interest rates this year. As a matter of fact, just a week ago, they raised interest rates another 0.25%, and that has a direct effect on mortgage rates. So here's what's interesting. If those mortgage rates stay high, right, because we had this big boom here in median sales price because everybody knew the Fed was probably going to start raising interest rates, and this is the hottest time of year in the spring to buy homes, and median sales price just shot up because everyone was trying to get a home in before the mortgage rates were going to go up. So it shot up, and then mortgage rates got high, and then it started dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. And it's still been dropping, although from this time last year, we're still higher. So if mortgage rates stay where they are, what we could start seeing by, say, this point right here. This point right here. Because where's this data? To the end of January, right? We're almost to this point. What we could really see is this line converge, impact right here, really. Maybe even down here, maybe even cross right here and continue, even if it just goes sideways. You see what I'm saying? Even if it just goes sideways, what does that mean? That means that is a year-over-year decrease in home prices. That's interesting. And even if this just keeps going sideways, you see where I'm going with this? And it stays right here. What's the price right now? 347. 347 by this point right here, which would be, we'll call it maybe June, something like that. Well, if it stays at 347, because with mortgage rates being high, it doesn't make sense that home prices should really go up much, because every 1% mortgage rates go up, someone pays an extra 10% on their monthly mortgage payment, right? So if you buy a $500,000 home and you were buying it back in 2022 at, like, say, 3%, well, you're paying maybe $2,500 a month. But at the current rates we're at, which are north of 6, call it 6.5 at best, you're paying 3% more. So instead of paying $2,500, you're paying 30% more, meaning that person's paying about $3,250 a month for that $500,000 home. Well, most people don't have another $750. A lot of people don't have another $750 to fit into their monthly budget for their mortgage payment, and a lot of people are paying north of 7% on their mortgage rate. So you can see the problem that we're in here, because if this price just stays sideways and doesn't continue declining, which personally, straight up, I expect it further continue. Although when we move into more peak season, we could see it bump up. I don't know, but I'm going to say staying sideways is a pretty conservative bet in terms of what's going to happen, a very probable bet based on the range of outcomes. And if we get to this point right here, well, say we're at 347 right here, what's this price? 387. Let's do some math. 347 divided by 387 equals, well, folks, we're looking at about a 9% drop year over year. What's really interesting about that is if we get to that point and we have a 9% year over year decrease in home prices, which we've almost never seen in history. It's happened very rarely. Obviously happened with the great financial crisis in 2008, that time period. This will make big headline news. This will make the real estate market freak out. We will see real estate companies doing layoffs. We will see people not wanting to buy homes. We will see people not wanting to sell homes. We will see fear maybe reach its peak around this point. So with that being said, in the later part of the year, I do expect opportunity to arise where you get a good deal. There could still be further decline later in 2023, leading into 2024, maybe through 2024 for all I know, depending on when the Fed decides to lower interest rates and bring them back down. They won't be bringing them to zero. You won't see these 2.5%, 3% interest rates for quite a damn while unless the entire economy just completely busts and breaks. But what it looks like to me, what have we figured out? Supply is up. Demand is down. Price drops are increasing. Actual home sale prices are decreasing. And we're about to meet this point where we're about to have a statistical year over year decrease in home prices. And as you can see, as this goes up and up and up, even if this goes sideways, we will have an increasing, every report, an increasing decrease year over year on home prices. And it will cause fear in the markets and pandemonium. Keep yourself calm. After this point, I think I see opportunity in the later part of 2023. So that's what we got. Hit that subscribe button. Feel free to hit the like if you want, but really hit the subscribe button. I'm going to bring you some fire content from now on, because what I was bringing you before was garbage. Not really. But I'm going to keep pumping this stuff out. We're going to look at stuff like this. We'll look at crypto stuff. We'll look at economic stuff. We'll look at finance stuff. We'll look at real estate stuff. So hit that subscribe. You're awesome, buddy.